So wait, when you say you never initiated the conversation, are you saying that when you were talking to the predators?
I would write in the chat room 13 female, 13/F/PA. You know, like that whole 13 female PA. And then I would just sit back and wait. Didn't have to wait. It was like catching, I don't understand. Like it was like, it wasn't the smartest people. I mean, we're talking about the boonies of Pennsylvania and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like I was covering the state 5,000 miles a month. I was driving to arrest these people like every other week. It was just the way that we ran our agency that they were really strict about what we could say. So like when you see like Chris Hansen or those online like vigilantes going after those pedophiles, that's so illegitimate, and it's actually causing us.
Really?
Oh yeah. What happens is that not one of Chris Hansen's, and he was like sort of legitimate with.
I thought he was the guy.
He was, but like whatever they did was not legal because the people doing those chats, getting the person to show up, were not law enforcement. They were vigilante justice. They were called Innocent Justice. They were a nonprofit organization of former like sexual abuse victims. So of course they have a different approach. They really want to catch these guys because they have this rage, obviously, against being victims themselves. So it's not the best approach to have someone like because they're not neutral. I mean, you can't maintain neutrality. Right. You don't want to entrap anybody. Like, you want them to make this decision that they plan to do it without your intervention, and if it wasn't you, it would have been a real child. Those are the people you really want to focus on.
Yo, we are back. It is This Side of Jersey Podcast, the #1 podcast in the world, stamped. I am your host. My name is Steven. I go by Ugly Steven on Instagram. Shout out to the gang behind the scenes who cannot be here. Shout out Tay, shout out B, shout out Ivan behind the scenes. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe at TSOJ Podcast. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to follow, download at TSOJ Podcast. The intro is so like taxing on the lungs. Today, we have a special guest once I get untangled. A very interesting special guest, by the way. This story is going to be nuts. I got flies in my fruit. Okay. But before we get into that, we have to get into our layup lines. So for those who do not know, layup lines is a segment where we'd like to get our guests loose. So we ask them a bunch of this or that questions, and they have to answer as fast as possible. Contestant, are you ready?
Bring it on.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, let me get my... See, when I have my cast members here, I don't forget to do things. All right, here we go. 24 seconds. Are you ready?
Yes.
Soccer or baseball?
Soccer.
Work for the FBI or the CIA?
CIA.
Teaching or background investigator?
Background investigator.
Cherry Hill or Marlton?
Cherry Hill.
90s or early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Going through the police academy or working for the FBI?
Police academy.
Patrol officer or surveillance?
Surveillance.
French Connection or J. Crew?
French Connection.
Lululemon. Oh, there it is. There is time. Okay, I want to finish my things, though. So, Lululemon or Adidas?
Adidas.
And Harrisburg or Cherry Hill?
I hate Harrisburg with passion. So, yes, Cherry Hill.
You hate you hate Harrisburg.
It's the worst city.
That people will soon find out why you hate Harrisburg. But, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest. What a resume. What a resume. She is a former special agent. She is a background investigator. And she is a former cyber tip line analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, Danielle DiBruno is here. Welcome.
Thank you. Quite
How do you
welcome. Feel? Interesting.
Yeah.
New.
You said this is your first podcast, yes?
First time ever
Yeah.
speaking to anybody.
Yeah.
Besides my former students.
Yeah. You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah.
For the platform. No problem. So we met under interesting circumstances that we will not get into right away, I think. I think we should get into your story because the caption, I think, of this will say it all when people see it. But, or like the title of it. But,
I haven't seen the title, so.
Yeah, we haven't made it up yet. But
Okay.
when it comes out,
Okay.
you know, it'll say something really nice on YouTube. Something that'll make people want to click. You know what I mean?
Yeah, click.
So I think to kind of get the story the right way, we have to kind of start at the beginning, right? So I would say let's start at the beginning in terms of where you are from.
I'm from South Philly originally. My family's all South Philly people. My mom and father, both born and raised, went to school there. We moved out when I was young, so then we moved to Cherry Hill after it was in 1989. But all our roots are really in Philly. Still.
Right.
It's still.
So are you Jersey adopted? Would you say that you
Oh yeah, I'm a total Jersey.
like
girl.
is Jersey in your heart right now or is Philly in your
I
heart right
think
now?
you can put Philly and Jersey in the same.
Negative. You cannot. This is This Side of Jersey podcast.
I know.
We do
but
not take.
I can listen. I stood out like a sore thumb when I worked and lived in D.C. because I was from New Jersey. It's a different. We're considered different from everyone else, and a lot of it has to do with the South. Well, from being from South Jersey, I'm a Philly fan, so obviously.
Right. So we don't have the luxury of our sports teams, but I think that you have to pick a side. Are you Philly or are you Jersey? There's a right answer. One answer will end this podcast right now, and the other one will allow you to stay and hang.
Jersey. I went to 3 of the state schools at least, so.
I knew I liked you. Listen, man. Okay, so you're from Philly. You then moved to Cherry Hill. Okay. And then give us the demographic of your high school as best as you can.
Wow. 800 students graduated with mostly really, really smart people and highly population Jewish, white.
There was 800 people in your entire school?
No, just in my
Oh,
graduating
your
class.
grade. Okay, where?
It's the biggest high school. There's 2 in Cherry Hill, so I went to the one that's the bigger one.
If it's fucking 800 in yours, what was it at Cherry Hill West?
About 6, 7.
Wow.
It's all
Is
big
Cherry
schools.
Hill? Yeah, is
It's
Cherry
a
Hill
huge.
big?
Oh my God.
I'm geographically.
We have 3 middle schools just alone.
Are you familiar with Hamilton?
Yes.
So is it bigger than? Because Hamilton is also very large.
No, Cherry Hill's bigger. It's
Cherry
the
Hill's bigger
biggest
than
district.
okay.
It's,
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I should know this coming from Jersey.
I mean, if you're saying there's 3 high schools in Cherry Hill just for the public high school.
There's 3 in Hamilton too, though.
Well, it might be similar.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know it was that big though. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to school with 8 million people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what you said, what you struggled with in college, because I think, or high school, because I think that'll segue us into the next thing.
So basically, luckily for me that I played sports and was very good at soccer and basically was on the verge of not graduating high school until I found out my senior year I was accepted to Rowan. I didn't apply, I maybe shouldn't say that, but I didn't apply. I think I was an exemption because my academics were so bad I wouldn't be accepted to Rowan on merits. That's why I started on probation, academic probation. But the first time I ever visited the school, knew where it was, ever thought about it, was the first day I showed up for soccer for preseason. So I was like, oh, this is where I'm going to school now.
So
I just went straight to
So did you have interest in going to college?
Yeah, of course. My whole family. It was expected. I mean, there wasn't a reason why I wasn't going to go to college. I got offers from other schools, but I just knew I wouldn't like Goucher. So weird liberal arts small colleges where the majority of the problem is I'm from New Jersey.
That's so bad.
Because it's really strange if you find with New Jersey state schools, you can all understand each other. It's kind of the same mentality. Of course, the only person I date in college is from Pennsylvania, so. And the one person that goes to a state school and pays the extra money is an idiot, but it is what it is. But anyway, graduating, luckily by the skin of my teeth, and then just getting into playing soccer and starting starting for Rowan my freshman year, but tearing my ACL 5 times throughout my history of playing sports. It's a long story.
So did you end up? All right. So you played soccer at Rowan. Was this a multi-year thing? Was this like a 1-year thing?
started. So my freshman year, I came in. I was starting midfielder my freshman year, which was a shock to the coach because he just randomly accepted a student that he didn't know much about, never saw me play, and then I just show up and I'm like killing it, and I really was playing the best I've ever played. But I tore my ACL last day preseason, and it was pretty devastating.
So what does that do to you then for your role on the team or your spot on the team? What does that do?
It redshirts me, and the coach cried at a conference when he went, because there was actually an article in the Inquirer that was DiBruno's out for the season, and it was like, wow, people, and like I read it recently, and I was like, wow, it was a big deal, I guess.
Like people cared, yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
people
wow,
cared.
like I've done it, like it didn't. But again, I came back my sophomore year, and I rehabbed and like crazy, like every time you do for an ACL meniscus tear, all 3. And you come back, and I came back my sophomore year. It wasn't the best, but I was playing, and I was actually, turns out I didn't know it. I looked back later. It was like the lead goal scorer and assist leader, and I was like, what? When did that happen?
Wow.
And I didn't really, because after an ACL tear and you're wearing a brace, you're not the best. So, but it turned out that my playing against interconference NJAC soccer is very competitive. Yeah. And Rowan is in the same conference as like the College of New Jersey, Montclair, Stockton, Rowan.
Are these good teams?
Oh yeah, like they're all Jersey girls. Jersey soccer is amazing.
It's legit. Okay.
Legit. And that if you're gonna be playing, it's like you can beat a D3 school. Like a D3 school could beat Rutgers Division One. Like it's not about that. It's more about like the competitiveness of us and the how many kids play soccer in New Jersey, and then going to Jersey schools. So I was recruited off of Rowan's team inter-conference by the TCNJ head coach. And I never would have been accepted to TCNJ. That's like, my sister was accepted on like legit scholarship, like legit grades, and also for her soccer abilities. Yeah. So she was going to be a freshman, and I was going to be a junior. So my parents forced me to transfer, and so I ended up tearing my ACL again when I got there. So.
Okay.
And then basically I ended up just graduating and focusing on college, and I was a major in criminal justice. So I just, I just pursued with finally the first time in my life I didn't have to worry about sports and learning.
So when you say you pursued criminal justice, I guess my question to that would be, because obviously from your intro we can tell that you went into, you ended up working with the FBI, obviously. But when you say you want to go into like police work, are you wanting to go in and be like the cop on the street who like
actually no
answers domestics and like
I had 2 particular, and I figured this out pretty early about what type of crimes I could actually care about enough to want to pursue that, because it's not like cops are I didn't like them personally. Yeah.
Do you get the option to choose? Like, I want to be a cop, but I want to do this.
Well, depends on what background you have. So if you have an educational background, like if you graduated from college, you can skip the patrol and just go to be detective.
Okay.
So like
really?
It's based off your education too. Wow. And like, so bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry for
a lot of people do want to do patrol, but for me, you have to have such an ego to do that you have to have the confidence just to go up to a random car when it's stopped. And I honestly didn't think people would take me seriously. So in a uniform, I probably don't think that in fact, my later experience would prove me right on that.
Yeah.
I was even taken seriously sometimes with a gun on my waist. And
you don't think the public would take you seriously? Not your coworkers. You're saying the public, like
both. Everything about it at the time. It's still not this. It's still really bad. But women in law enforcement is not something that's a common thing, and there's good reasons for that. Yeah. But my whole thing was actually 9/11 was like the big factor for me in high school. It happened, and I just remember like seeing these people jumping from a building and thinking it was like, who does this to innocent people? Yeah. So my whole thing was also I was interested in why people would molest children. For some reason, these were things I thought about earlier than most people would ever, or even would think about at all. but it's because I think they're the two worst crimes that you commit in the realm of any criminal act. It's taking innocence away from children and taking innocence from people that had nothing to do with the religious aspect of a terrorist attack. So to me, it's the evil that's more evil than any other thing. It's the damage you do to a child when you abuse them and introduce them to sexual things early in life. It's very damaging and it's lifelong. So that, and then people that want you to believe in religious beliefs and just are extreme in their own, and that's their solution to blow up in civilians. So those were the two things I wanted to do. That's why CIA, FBI type jobs were very something I was interested in doing, but I also thought about law school as well. So
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
It's not that off topic, but it kind of is, and trust me to segue the conversation back to what it was, but now that you said that, I have a lot of questions. Do you believe in conspiracy theories involving 9/11?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The biggest conspiracy I think that people don't understand is that we were just unprepared. That's the bottom line. Like, most agencies did not, and still to this day, because I've been in law enforcement, and there's these agencies, the egos involved with a lot of these people that run these agencies are male, and they don't, like, as a male to another agency, it's like they can't just work together. It has to be me above you or some hierarchy, and women tend not to focus that much on that in my experience. But no, with my sorry, what was that question?
Damn, what was the question?
You
were talking
ADHD, right?
Yeah.
Forget that.
Yo, I want to talk to you about that too, by the way. Off camera, because I have some questions like close to what.
Oh yeah, so like I think I was talking about the fact that I wanted to.
Oh, not a conspiracy. 9/11 was not a conspiracy.
No, because if you understand, and I've worked in these they're so misrun and mismanaged. It's not anything different. It's a government. It's the government, guys. It's not a business. There's a lot of bureaucrats. There's just people that don't do things that get paid, and I've seen it firsthand in the city level, the state level, and the federal level. It's crazy, but it's the way it is. And so when people want to think the government's that smart to like outsmart the entire American public, it's pretty laughable if you've ever worked inside a government. It's the bottom line it came down to is that the CIA and FBI both knew of Osama bin Laden a long time before. It was actually Clinton's had the opportunity to take him out, actually. Like, that was an order that he refused to give at a time when he was known. So this was a known figurehead in every president election, besides Bush, who got the blame for I think a lot of it is to do with his conspiracy and Cheney and whatnot. But
wait, hear me out though. Can I tell you what I think the conspiracy is?
Yeah.
Just hear me out. I think, and I don't want to say I think more than like I know that more than I'm just like, of the ones I heard, that makes the most sense. It was that 9/11, and also, let me preface this by saying that 9/11 was a conspiracy is not to say that innocent people do not lose their lives. That's two separate things. I think what I'm saying is, if you were to ask me, is America willing to sacrifice its people for the agenda of something larger that we don't know about at the moment? Yes, I do believe that 1,000%. So, with that being said,
I disagree.
Okay. So,
not on that scale.
Okay. So, when I was introduced to the idea of surveillance, and somebody was like, well, if you think about it, the internet came about, let's say at least publicly, in the year 2000, right? Or maybe like 99, but like 2000. Mm-hmm. 2001 is 9/11, right? So the theory was that technology was soon recognized to be something that can be weaponized. So 9/11 was used to spark the fear of lack of surveillance, right? Like we could have saw it, we didn't see it coming because we need to surveillance everything. And then that was the introduction to like invasive technology where it's like a lot of surveillance.
I think my opinion is that if body cameras are a really big benefit now these days to law enforcement, there's a benefit to having things recorded. And if you're a victim of a crime and there could have been a recording that could have caught it, it's different way to look at things.
No. I'm not against surveillance.
Yeah, like
No. However,
are you talking about like the whole like Patriot Act stuff? Where
I'm saying the weaponization of technology, not technology itself, right? So, for example, you and I know how to responsibly use technology, right? That does not mean that there's not a weird, creepy dude who is hacked into your lab cam and is watching your laptop. Right, like that would be invasive technology. So I don't mean to say like.
Well, there you can do that. There's such a search warrant. You have a search warrant for that stuff, and there's been probable cause for that.
Right, but think about like just like the black market of people who are not doing that, and they're just like weird.
Yeah, I'm sure there's. I mean, I've seen everything, so I'm not pretty. Nothing would shock me. Things I've seen. Just with cameras, but it's again. It's not,
oh my God! I just remembered
I
our conversation.
actually have a whole case that I did about a guy that was hiding a camera in his daughter's bedroom light fixture, on her bed. Like the picture was like he would send like his friends upstairs, and it was really fucked up. Let me just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But like he just moved into the house 2 weeks before, and the camera was only found because I turned his TV on in his bedroom and saw my partner's bald head upstairs. I was like, wait, what is this? And the connection was that like he had installed it in a camera in his daughter's bedroom in her light fixture when they just moved in 2 weeks previously. Like that was his first priority to do that. And he hooked up a camera feed to his bedroom TV. Yeah.
Let's get into your job because people are probably like, why does this woman know so much? We should get into the shebang, okay? Because obviously we're getting spicy. So let's talk a little bit about your work with the FBI or you as a special agent.
Right.
Okay.
So I worked in the child predator unit. So the people I wanted to go after, exactly the pedophiles, the people that were exploiting children. I just didn't. And I had all my undergrad studies, and actually at the time I was getting my master's degree as well in criminal justice and public policy. It was a dual master's at my favorite place, Rutgers Camden. And it just, I was glad I got offered the job as a special agent at the time because I was in there and I'm like, this lady, these people don't know anything about the real world. It's academics trying to teach you about criminals. Like they've never interviewed a criminal. Yeah. So it was hard to take them seriously. So when I took the job as a special agent, it was like immediate. I was 24 years old, so at the time, pretty young.
And
First.
Yeah.
I mean.
And what are you expecting when you take this job? Like, what's going through your head when you're realizing?
My biggest concern, and I said it 3 times, it was the interview process took. I mean, I got polygraph, psychological exam, heart rate monitor test where we were on a treadmill running. They took a chunk of my hair out, and when I thought they were going to take like a strand, no, he like took a back and he like cut it off, and I had like a sprout at the back of my head for the rest of like the year because it was growing back in. Like that's just they wanted to do. So I did the polygraph, and they always say you fail, so never take a polygraph. People, they're stupid.
Like you will fail no matter what type shit.
No, it's like they'll make up the results because it's not scientific. It's not. It's
Yeah.
It's reading the way you are stressed out or not. So if you're a psychopath, you're more likely.
It's like
the really bad people pass them because they have no feelings. So if you don't have any reaction to things that are horrible, they're asking you. It's defaults. It's that's the response that a poly does.
What's the psychological test you said they put you through?
Oh my God, it was like 450 like questions of like how to determine your personality. It's some psychiatric exam that they do for law enforcement or like people working in like high stress jobs and whether or not they're. And it's like these weird, like repetitive, like I just remember being 450 questions, and it's like I feel like you're asking me the same thing in a different way, like every other. And it's that type of like trying to weed out your actual like, what's in testing, like when you do testing methods, it's something like, it's to make sure you're not
it's like a study almost.
Like there's like a built-in system to make sure you're not lying about something. The way they ask the questions, it'll just change it in different words so you answer it, making sure it's consistent.
Wow.
Yeah, so the test is legitimate, and I passed all of the things except the polygraph. They said I failed on the pot or weed or marijuana question at the time.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was like, you failed on that question. Why would you fail? I was like, because how many times did I say? Like, it's such a joke. They want you to be like able to come. I bet I didn't even fail on that question, to be honest. I bet because it turns out everyone seemed to fail on that question. I talk to.
What is it asking? Like, do you smoke?
No, it's like you have to. You fill out a booklet of your life, of like everything you've ever possibly done, and then you have to like. It's great.
Can I wait? I had a friend in college who wanted to be in the FBI, and we are like 18. We are like fresh in college, just like smoking weed, just like idiots.
Yeah.
He wanted to be in the FBI, so like his house was like the smoke house. Like that was where he bought it. That was where he smoked it. That was where he hung out. That was it. He never like participated in us in the living room. Like if we were in the living room, he was upstairs, always. And when you would ask him why he would do that, he would say, because I'm in the FBI, or I want to go in the FBI. And he was like, when they vet me, they're going to like dig up my life and find out what kind of person I was in college.
That's
and
top
like,
secret security clearance.
Yeah,
This is what I had.
Okay, yeah. So I was like, they go back that, like, to me, I can't conceptualize.
Oh, they go back.
Yeah.
I actually was, when I was doing the federal background and clearances, I was going to Penn, Temple, going into like offices of like not the bursars. I was reading academic records, not even something that would like, something that you may have done in college that was not even reportable at all. I was going in there as a federal background investigator for your clearance and reviewing to make sure there was like nothing, if there was something found, then that was red flagged. Like, if there was a disciplinary action that wasn't reported, that wasn't like legally, like template, like that would show up in a legal court. It's school internally, like we would access all that stuff.
So they could tell you if you got into like.
But the whole question is that I don't think they really care, to be honest. It's like when they asked me the question, they wanted to see what my response would be, if I would like fight it and make it like, no, it's the truth, or would I just be like, well, like. It's a way that they wanted. It was more about how you would handle yourself. Yeah. So the way I approached it, I was just like, well, how many times? I may have said I tried it 7 times, but maybe it was 10. I can't recall. That was the solution there. It was like you admit to something that you may have lied upon, but provide the reason why, which was my memory's off. Which could be completely true. I mean, that was my response to it. I'm not going to fight them on it because I know that that's not what they want you to do. That because that will bring up like, no, like, and you know, I've actually known people that have failed that because they were just too honest. People didn't believe that like this person was a perfect angel, and I'm like, you shouldn't be going into this field. You can't be that clean.
Is the better approach not to like stay honest, but just like not over explain and not give over detail, like. Because I heard that's a thing. Like, if someone tries to give too much detail, they're lying.
Yes. And there's many ways to tell if they're lying or not. But, like, some people get nervous, and so they just talk more. Or questions like, have you ever... They want to make sure, like, some of the questions were like, would you ever... Like, they were trying to look if you could... If you never, like... claim you got pulled over for a speeding ticket, which is like for the most part most people have gotten at least some kind of moving violation. So like that's something like you put on there, and it's like if you don't, like the one guy I know that they didn't hire him because they don't think he was like they couldn't figure out his poly because he was so honest and straightforward. He literally didn't have anything bad in his past at all. Like I had a few shady things I had to explain. As long as I explained it, blah, blah, blah. There's no, like, red flags. But it's when you start this purposely, like, misleading or keeping things out, that's when they're going to catch you. Like, I didn't purposely do anything. I was a pretty clean person.
It's like you're being honest without intention. Like, I'm just going to tell you the straight-up truth, and I'm not going to try to like...
And, like, the point of the job is, like, I was in an undercover capacity of pretending to be a 13-year-old girl on the internet, chatting with men.
Oh, we're getting into it, y'all.
Well, this is why I have to say, and everyone I worked with were either like undercover narcotics agents, organized crime unit. No one wore uniforms I worked with, and it was the reason why, because we were undercover. And part of being an undercover person is being able to lie, like really, really well, like to convince the criminal to like listen and believe you and be on their side, and that's what undercover role is. So the fact they even give you a polygraph is hilarious. You have to be a good liar.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you... I'm very uneducated, so forgive me if I think it's wrong. But are you able to, for the most part, look at someone and tell when they're lying?
Yeah.
Like for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I always give people the benefit of the doubt, but if someone's lying... depends. I mean, I don't really care that much for people. Yeah. To me, I mean, it's like there's no situations like when if students lied to me, it was so obvious. It was like ridiculous. Yeah. But like when adults, like I haven't had any interaction.
Have I ever lied to you? I don't think I
I
have.
don't know.
I want to know if I ever lied to you.
No,
and you were like,
no.
I think
I
that was
don't like
bullshit.
being lied to though. It's really pretty bad.
Can we play two truths and a dare?
Yeah, sure.
All right, here we go. Okay. I'm gonna try to be as still as possible.
I don't know how daring.
I'm gonna try to be as still as possible so that I don't do any body movements that are like fucking me up. Okay. Okay. I had a dog named Shy. I spent 6 years getting my undergrad degree. I lived in Camden for 2 years and then moved in Pennsauken.
The first one.
No, I had a dog named Shy.
Okay, then the third.
Yep, that was the third one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Between those two, I was like, but we talk, yeah.
So if I'm good enough to lie to someone
My
who's in the
first
FBI,
reaction was the third one. Then I changed my mind.
so if I'm good enough to lie, you think I could get past the FBI? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, funny you asked because I actually had to lie to the FBI.
Really?
And it was crazy because I couldn't. I actually slept through one of the FBI exams. You don't like literally getting invited to take an exam with the FBI and just don't show up to the testing site. Like exactly what happened to me. I slept right through it, or I got the day wrong. It was one of those crazy ADHD things.
And what was your excuse?
Oh my God! I said my dog died.
Did you have to kill him to verify it?
And then I realized that holy shit, I have to convince myself now to this day forward. That's the reason, and this is how crazy it can be. I was like, oh shit, so they gave me a second chance to take the test because I made that up. I was like, great, now if I get past this stage, they're gonna start polygraphing me about if I ever lied or been FBI and like, I'd be like, shit, my dog's dead. The dog is dead to me because you can literally convince if you work undercover, you have to convince yourself. Sometimes it's like, yes, that happened. 100% happened that way. Like
you have to tell yourself.
Yes, because it's like you got to remind yourself that you're not like. So I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to. And she ended up dying anyway. But so I wouldn't have had to make an actual lie. But the fact I lied about my dog dying, and that's why I didn't show up for the test, and it got me back, and that's when I passed like with like the highest, and it's like a never-ending. I did really well in the exam. That's why I got a final interview. I was like, holy shit, man. The fact that I just wasn't really that. To me, the reason I think about it now is like, I really did not want that job. I would normally, if there was a job I wanted, that wouldn't happen. Yeah. I was running my own business at the time, so it was kind of like a fallback, the FBI at the time. So I was like, I'll do it, but like, so I'm not saying like I'm like that ditzy, but like it did happen, and it was a fallback at the time for me. And I wasn't really that interested in the FBI because I worked with them before, and I'm just like, it's another freaking agency. It's another government agency.
I want to bring you back to when you were working there. So when you were working there, and obviously you mentioned how you were impersonating a 13-year-old
using
girl.
my own pictures when I was 13.
Yeah, so
that's my profile.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So is that a I guess the first question is, did you like volunteer for that, or was that like, we're going to make you?
I was specifically hired for that position because they couldn't find anybody else that could portray a female in that office because I was the only female in the office.
And how old are you at this time?
24.
You're 24 and you're portraying someone who is 13. Mm-hmm. Now,
the people that were before me lasted 6 months at a time. They were like 57-year-old men who had tried to make up profiles using like heroes, Thomas Aquinas, Go Brave, Live, Die, Marines. Like, they made a profile with a girl's picture with all the things they were interested in as grown-ass adults. I was like, what the fuck? That's why they needed somebody in there, like, that could get the lingo,
But, okay, so you, first, you're cyber mocking a 13-year-old. So you're online just talking to them as if you're a 13-year-old.
Yeah, I'm a catfish, basically. But, it's basically, I'm never initiating a conversation with anybody. I just type into, oh, my God. It gets worse because,
tell it all. Let's hear it.
You just, oh, my God. So if this was in the state of Pennsylvania. So, like, we would only use the Yahoo chat room name Pennsylvania. That was where that's where we called everybody. So I'm not even telling you, like, we weren't even allowed. We were so, like, compliant. We had 100% conviction rate, and now we're going to fuck that up for his election to governor, which was, at the time, Governor Corbett. But it was just amazing that it could do that. Like,
So, wait, when you say you never initiated the conversation, are you saying that when you were talking to the predators?
I would write in the chat room, 13 female, 13/F/PA. You know, like that whole 13 female PA. And then I would just sit back and wait. Didn't have to wait. It was like catching, I don't understand. Like, it was like, it wasn't the smartest people. I mean, we're talking about the boonies of Pennsylvania and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like, I was covering the state 5,000 miles a month. I was driving to arrest these people, like, every other week. It was just the way that we ran our agency that they were really strict about what we could say. So, like, when you see, like, Chris Hansen or those online, like, vigilantes going after those pedophiles, that's so illegitimate, and it's actually causing us.
Really?
Oh, yeah. What happens is that not one of Chris Hansen's, and he was, like, sort of legitimate with
I thought he was the guy.
He was, but, like, whatever they did was not legal because the people doing those chats, getting the person to show up, were not law enforcement. They were vigilante justice. They were called innocent justice. They were a nonprofit organization of former, like, sexual abuse victims. So, of course, they have a different approach. They really want to catch these guys because they have this rage, obviously, against being victims themselves. So it's not the best approach to have someone like, because they're not neutral. I mean, you can't maintain neutrality.
Right.
You don't want to entrap anybody. Like, you want them to make this decision that they plan to do it without your intervention, and if it wasn't you, it would have been a real child. Those are the people you really want to focus on. And what Chris Hansen did is, like, none of those cases ever went to court or prosecuted because of the fact that they were not involved. Well, yeah, you saw law enforcement arresting him at the end, but all that evidence that was collected, which I had to do, literally, like,
It's literally, like, inadmissible because...
Inadmissible, of course, because, like, the way we had to do our evidence collection was, like, super strict. Like, we had to use, like, in the time it wasn't big. Now screen recording is easy, but back then it wasn't. It was in 2008. So, like, they didn't have that software as easily accessible. But we had to use a special program to log every single chat because it had to be stamped, time proved, all related to that individual, so it could be brought into court with because basically anytime these guys would get off would be on, like, a technicality type thing, like evidence processing or chain of custody broken or Miranda rights issued, not issued, stuff like that. So it was really, they were too easy. At the same time, they were long and tedious processes to get these guys.
So, I'm sorry, I have a bunch of hair on me. I just got a haircut. So, okay, you're talking to these people. You kind of throw the bait out, 13 female PA. They bite, right? I'm assuming more than one person bites at a time. I'm assuming you get, like, right? So then how do you know how to move forward?
Well, you don't. You have, like, it's just, like...
Don't say what you can't say, by the way.
No, it's like, I'm just trying to think. It's like just organizing people in chat logs and seeing which one's the most,
like, dangerous, I guess, or
like the most disgusting, or most of them will just show you their webcam with their penises. So it's just exposed. Like, that's their whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was my job to record that, like, whole thing.
For, like, evidence.
Yeah, that was evidence.
Are you, like,
That's the funniest part.
Are you looking at them? Or are they looking at you?
No, they're sending people a webcam with no idea who's behind it. Like, of course, like, if they knew, like, they would always ask, "Are you Chris Hansen?" I'd be like, "Yes." Like, it didn't matter. It's like, "Are you a cop?" "Yes." "No." Didn't matter. I've actually had those conversations where, like, "You must be are you one of those cops?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I am."
And they keep going.
Yeah, it's like, or I could say, "No, I'm not." Like, "I don't believe you." "Well, okay, well then see it." Then they would it's like an urge. They couldn't let it go. Like, so it was almost like, we never pursued one person. It became so bad that, like, I was working on a case for a very long period of time, and I made a typo error. Like, hold on one SEC, S-E-C, but by accident I put hold on a sex, S-E-X, and they're right next to each other on the keyboard, like literally.
Yeah.
You can look.
Oh wow, they are. Yeah.
And my attorney general, that was my boss, who I reported to on cases and had to give him updates, was like, "No, throw it out."
Like you fucked the whole thing up just by that
just
typo.
Yeah. That's how strict.
I guess it's because you kind of,
Because then I brought, he's saying that you introduced the topic of sex, even though it was my error. It was.
Is that a big deal though when you're getting 1 million people? Like, is he like pissed off about that, or is he just
not
like
pissed? He's just saying it's annoying to me because I just worked on.
Like getting this far.
Yeah, but and also I don't know how dangerous he could have been if that's the only thing we get him for, and he actually is a child rapist. Yeah, I feel regret about that situation. So. But that just, they had to make sure to keep that conviction rate high. So we didn't, it was like was that the barrel, shooting fish in a barrel type thing. It was like boop, boop.
Okay, so I want to talk about the guy, you and I spoke about this off camera, obviously, the Kmart guy.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about that or no?
The guy that came off, the reason I left.
Yes. Can we talk about that or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So we spoke. I'm just going to introduce it, and then I'm going to let you take it away. We spoke when we met, when you were telling me you were the FBI. Mm-hmm. You said you had a very engaging, alarming interaction with a fella. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I was surprised first at how much background context has to be there. That, like, I would think the predator wouldn't even try to, like, he wouldn't try to put that together so much, right? And you were telling me, like, pretty much how, like, you build the story of the girl first, and then, like you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot. I'm so, like, intrigued. I gotta, like, backtrack. So, tell us about that case. So, how it started, just start to finish.
So, it wasn't even my case. It was my partner's case, but because I was the only female in the agency, that I was the decoy. So, we had people that would actually just commit the crimes that we considered, I don't say this, but whackers and travelers and whackers. The whackers were the online.
Like whackers?
Yeah, like the whackers type. They were the one that masturbated on the internet to 13-year-old girls or 12.
And the cops are not coming for them, or they are coming for them.
That's who I'm the cop. That's what they're doing to me. That's what we consider. This is how we categorize these people in our office.
Okay.
Whackers.
Okay.
They're not the most. We'll arrest them eventually because they already committed all the crimes needed. But the more serious offenders will be the travelers, the ones that actually online and then show up to engage and have sex with a child in person and get the information. And my partner's case was one where we built a backstory about, like, we had a meet location and it was located in this really random place. Like, you really would have to know the name of a town that's that small and that minor of a place. It's like almost too specific. You can't just say, like, oh, you just showed up there randomly anyway. Because if their story, bless you, if their story is about, like, so my story was like, my whole family lives. I live with my mother. She works all the time. I have no friends at school. I'm being bullied. Like, serious, like, things that still, of course, are relevant. But you get vulnerable. And you make yourself a vulnerable person. So these predators know that, because this is, and by when I'm saying I'm pretending to be vulnerable, I'm pretending to be a child who is a vulnerable person, because they don't know they don't know what the real world's like yet. I mean, I'm talking about 13-year-olds. We know what 13-year-olds are like, I think. So just being who they would normally be is, like, what I was trying to do. And then when you have a case that required a guy that was going to travel to meet and have sex with this kid, we had no idea what the intentions were. Like, we had some crazy situations of, like, potentially, like, a murder instead of just meeting up with, like, a girl where he had a knife, he had a blanket, duct tape, KY jelly all wrapped in his bag. And this was a different case out of near Harrisburg, but, like, wow. He was the lead suspect in, like, an FBI's, like, murders investigations, like 2 of them across the state of Ohio. And he had that in his car when he went to go meet this girl, so it's a little concerning. Yeah, and I was like, our SWAT team took this shit. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But no, back to mine. Mine was more like, oh gosh, the guy showed up. We had a briefing. We always had briefings, but everyone assumed the guys would never show up. They mostly got scared and didn't show up, or they thought about it, but we don't have, like, tracking devices on their car to say, oh, they left. Yeah, but we would try to, like, encourage it, but like we could only meet them at certain times in certain places. Specifically, this Kmart, which is no longer in operation, and we had surveillance from every angle. We're supposed to, at least.
So I'm gonna stop you there just because I know we talked about some things. So with the surveillance thing, you were saying like they pick locations based on how well they can see it from different angles, right?
100%.
So like if they can't see it from all angles, or like that's
right,
not
like,
the space.
or because we actually had one of the best high tech crime units in the country. Actually, FBI used our high tech crimes unit. Specifically for building like cameras and equipment into like PennDOT or some sort of like system where then you could do surveillance that way. But like those were long-term things that like these predators, we didn't, again, no body cameras, nothing of that existed. We were undercover. So I was a decoy being put out there as the bait. From a distance, I look exactly what I'm supposed to look like, pink sweatshirt, whatever outfit they were expecting me to wear, I'd be wearing it. And they would see me probably when they crossed over, like not right before they pulled in, they could see me from a distance.
So they would like see you and then go park and then get out.
They would see me. They might do 2 pass-bys, like just to make sure. Like, because they're nervous. These people are nervous. And actually, it was across the street from a cop station, like a police station. It was insane that they would actually take the risk at all. But maybe that even made it less likely because they thought.
Then why would it happen in broad
daylight?
daylight?
Yeah. So our whole thing was that I was the only female that could do this because there's only one person in the office that was wearing. They could look sort of young and from a distance act like what. And so that was always the case. I was always the decoy. And the last case I had was my partners, and the guy traveled within a day, which is very rare. And those are more dangerous. To me, they're more alarming.
Wait, is this the same guy you're talking about, the Kmart guy?
Yeah.
Or is it a different guy? Okay.
No,
how far did he travel?
From Philly.
To like the outskirts of
Norristown, King of Prussia.
Wow. Oh, not that far. Like
about 45 minutes.
Yeah, not too far. Okay.
Minutes, yeah. So he was like a construction. He was on a work site construction guy. And
okay.
He just shows up, and he's there before any of us. Besides me, I'm already set in my position, but everybody.
Wait. He's coming from KOP to go to Harrisburg?
No, he's coming from. Our meetup was not. Ours is in KOP
area,
not exactly.
Yeah, that area. Okay.
It was more him coming from Philly to go to.
Okay, gotcha.
But he just like, no one ever thought he would travel to meet and have sex with a girl in a day and a half. It was my partner's case, and it happened. He showed up, he approached me, and I had no backup. It was insane. I didn't know what to do because I'm like, what'd they do in that show, Catch a Predator?
Yeah.
Because like my boss told me specifically right before I asked, like, we do a police briefing, making sure we understand and like I had to do my own when I was a lead agent. You create like where the closest hospital might be, where the local
like where all the resources are,
and like which car is going to be parked where with which agents. So like it was a surveillance operation. So when we were briefing, I asked my boss, my supervisory special agent, whether or not what should I do if the guy approaches me. He's like, come on, Danielle, like that's not going to happen. I was like, okay. But
is it not going to happen because they're going to intervene?
Because he's not going to because he's not going to show up. This is his mentality.
And if he does,
it doesn't matter. He's not going to. That was my point. I was like, well, so I had no signals, signs. They just immediately assumed the guy would not show up within a day. So they didn't give me a gun. They didn't give me I of course couldn't have my gun on me, but it would be too obvious. Having no cell phone because that's my undercover role. I should never have a cell phone on me. Because that's why I have to go and meet and talk online because they would want to speak to you on the phone. And that would require a trace recording and like then wiretap. And that required a lot more resources. So we try to keep it all online. But sometimes they did want to hear our voice and we'd have to do a special like wiretap for all this just to get a conversation with a girl.
Okay, so you're in the parking lot or in front of the store, whatever the case.
They put me inside this time, yeah.
Inside the store.
Which is rare.
So he has to find you in the store. So you're
saying
saying
in
like,
the vestibule, like where you could see me through the
okay. So he does a drive-by. When he does the first drive-by, do you know it's him? Like, do you know?
Well,
we
have no idea what car he's driving. We don't know who the person is. We have no background data on him, just a screen name.
Oh, so he has to approach you for you to know it's him.
And I knew who it was because it was a truck and it was a work truck. That's the only thing we kind of knew. He might have been driving a work truck.
Yeah. Because
I think my partner had asked like what vehicle color, or it was like an olive green. We couldn't. obviously my partner could be like, what's your license plate number, this, that. They'd be like, okay, you're a cop, like, obviously. So the basic, and we could have ran a license plate check and then found out, like, if he had a criminal background, like, he could have been a freaking rapist for all we know, or a murderer. And it was a dangerous position to be in because I had no backup. Nobody knew he was there. He got out of his car. He's approaching me. I'm like, oh, shit.
Like he came
And he's here and he's coming up to me. And I kept on, like, waving through, like, wave up. And he's like, and he's trying to beckoning me to come into his car. And I'm like, and I'm like not knowing what to do because I was like, well, they did in that show Catch a Predator. And so I was just like, oh, yeah, they usually, like, disappear upstairs or they go through, like, I'll be right back with the cookies. So I actually just was like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to walk into this. I'm like, I kind of made like a pee. I don't know. I'd get
something
used
to
the
get
bathroom.
back inside.
Yeah. And then I wanted to like run. Or like at least, but then that's finally when they kind of like showed up. Because no, actually my partner was in the restroom at the Kmart. And when I was running away from this predator.
So let me ask you this.
No one was in place at the time. They were literally.
But you're walking. So he's approaching, trying to get you to come out the store.
Yeah, and then I don't.
You're kind of like
and then
trying
he
to
gets
get him
out
to
of
come in the store.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to stall. I have no idea.
Yeah. So does he end up coming in? Like
he got out of his car.
So is at this point he's kind of like following you into the store?
Yeah, he's following me into the store. And
Okay.
I'm walking further away, and then finally my partner came out, and then he looked so scared. I got worried that like he was actually like. He looked like he didn't know what he was like. He didn't know how to handle the situation at all.
Like he wasn't a professional at this.
Oh no. He was not at all. Like he was not. I mean, he's a 36-year-old man at the time pretending to be a 13-year-old girl with like.
Hold on. I got so many more questions, bro. So many more questions. All right, so you get out the car. I mean, he's following you into the store. And you're making your way to the bathroom.
No, I'm just trying to get in.
You're just trying to stall.
I'm trying to stall and make sure, like, maybe someone will notice, like, I'm not in the position I'm in, so that surveillance. We had 5 cars and a marked patrolman. Like, literally, the fact of the matter.
So you're just trying to get seen by somebody.
I'm
like
just
you're
trying
like
to get help,
like,
seen, or like literally, like, what is going on? I had no phone. I had no way to communicate with anybody. So I just started like yelling my partner's name because I thought he was inside, and he was. He came out, but he didn't seem like what to do. I was like, it's him, like right there, get him. Like,
oh, he wasn't even like
ready
to attack
because he was like he looked like a deer in headlights type deal. I was like, oh my god, this is your fucking case. Go do it. Like and I got mad. I'm like, oh geez. And so like that should have been the end of it for me, but it wasn't.
Wait. Okay, so your partner then eventually apprehends this man.
The 4 other agents and the other police officers.
Okay, so at this point you are safe. You're good.
Yeah, I'm fine, and I'm just like annoyed as hell that this happened. I'm like, so never was gonna. It wasn't gonna.
What the fuck was gonna happen? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was like kind of the ending.
Do you look like a 13-year-old girl?
From a distance, I was 24 at the time.
But
I'm 40 now.
But what I'm saying is like,
yeah,
he's not looking at you and saying this is not a 13-year-old girl.
I have a hood up.
Oh, so you are trying to like kind of like.
Yeah, I'm being like cutesy. Like I could look like a younger person. A lot of people don't think I'm 40.
I told you I didn't think you were 40.
Right, and so I mean back then, I mean
as
long as I was wearing literally what exactly they thought I should be wearing, and it looked like me like from my 13-year-old pictures.
How tall are you right now? You're kind of tall though.
I know I'm 5'8". So like I would sit down like.
Yeah, you were just trying to.
I was like wearing like kid clothes, like Hello Kitty shit.
Oh my god!
Ridiculous.
All right. So this sounds obviously catastrophic, but this was not the last time for you. Then you were still like, I'm game for this job.
No, I think that was about the end of it for me.
I think you just said that wasn't your last one.
Well,
you said this would have been. You would have thought this was the end, but.
Well, like I was dumb. No, I had been the decoy a few times. During that whole situation went down was that I got the one that got shit on because I didn't do enough to get him to say my name. Like I didn't even know this was not part of the plan for him to come up to me at all because he's supposed to be arrested.
He was supposed to be there.
He's actually supposed to be arrested before he even gets into the parking lot. Like he gets pulled over by patrol, like lights. Like that's how it ends. Not him coming inside to the parking lot.
So that's why they were like, oh, he's not even going to make it to. Oh, they say he's not going to show up, but even if he were to show up, they were supposed to catch him.
Yeah,
before he sees you.
Well before he even turns into the parking lot. Yeah. And they missed that one big time. So the whole point was like I got blamed for him not confessing to my partner and my boss, who were interrogating him. Nothing to do with me. Is because I didn't go up to him. It's because they have such egos that was like the man wouldn't talk to them and wouldn't like, because like if you, these two men were such assholes that like it wouldn't be hard for anybody to want to open up to them, let alone a sexual predator who is very defensive at this point. I noticed that very much that was the case, that they were shutting down because of the way they were speaking to him, and I watched it, and then I was blamed for the fact they couldn't get an interrogation, a confession, because I didn't wait and have him confirm my name was Emma, which was the undercover name of my agent, my partner's agent. I was like, that was never in the plan.
Oh, is this because they don't have his face?
Right.
So if he doesn't confirm, he has to say something to confirm that he's the person. And if he doesn't say anything that confirms he's the person.
Yeah, he's dumb that he even like agreed to go to the police station.
Wow.
Like he literally could have, but it's very hard when we have evidence, because we did have chat printouts. It was his screen. All the thing we had to do was confirm it as his email, and it's him.
But because there's no face.
Well, we have an idea. Potentially, he may have sent an image already of himself, but we don't know what type of person he is. We don't know. We haven't. That takes time. Usually, those records are available, but you got to get court orders for everything.
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, right now, if someone were to start talking to a teenager online and they say, I want to meet you on May 30th in a Kmart parking lot on this day and we're going to have sex, right? Mm-hmm. And the girl says, yes, okay, I want to do that, right? That's not a crime yet. Or that is a crime because you know she's 13 and you just said...
No, unless you made the trip. No, it's not a crime.
Okay, so he can say, I'm going to have sex with you on this day.
You can say whatever the hell you want. You know this on the internet.
No, I don't.
There's no limits on the internet to what depravity things...
Yeah.
Depravity exists in the internet. You could say whatever you want. You could literally... I read manuals of how some people have created manuals on how to be a really good child pedophile. Like, they have books. The guy, he's a British dude.
All right, but here's my question.
And it's legal because it's just free speech.
Yeah. So here's my question, though. Stop me when I can be arrested. Okay, so I email a girl, or I'm not going to say I because I don't want to fucking play like that. Jonathan emails a fucking girl, and Jonathan says, we're going to have sex on this day. I'm going to pick you up. I know you're 13. We already had that conversation. I'm going to pick you up on this day. We're going to have sex. Okay, cool. Can't be arrested yet. So far,
unless he's committed any acts of like
sending pictures or something like that.
Like,
okay.
Nude images of himself.
But if I just said it,
he got her to send nude images.
But if I just said it and we agreed, I'm not arrested
I had
yet.
many people that just said it. They were going to meet me and never did.
Okay, it's May 30th. I pull up to Kmart.
Yeah.
Sarah is there, right? John pulls up. Sarah's there. He gets out the car, walks up to Sarah. Can I be arrested yet?
Yeah.
Now I can be arrested.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second
you traveled to the location where you knew.
So the second you put the plan in motion.
Yeah.
After the words.
I mean, it's like the action. Wow. You're not arresting. I know it sounds like sometimes these cases you're being arrested for crimes you didn't yet commit. That's what it sounds like. Because like, oh, that's just but they didn't do anything. But yeah, but if it wasn't a real child, they would have been doing something. Yeah. So like you have cases like that. I mean, like. Yeah, that's exactly how. Like, wow. I mean, it's only when you decide to make an action. Like, I mean, there were men who were so obsessed with doing this shit that like I'd go to these houses with these women and their wives were there, and like it was just chaos. Like, she would be screaming like, "I hid the camera from you!" Like, why would you? So you know about this?
Oh, so she knew. Wow.
Like, and I'm like, lady, you're letting your husband commit crimes, and instead of like reporting him or leaving him, you're hiding his webcam, and he's gonna use it again and again, and this is exactly what. And she was like absurdly like great. Wow, like I just remember thinking like these women, just like Sandusky's wife, she knew everything that was going on in that house as well. Like, I mean, it's very hard for me to be sympathetic towards these women who know there's something wrong in their marriage.
Wasn't he doing it at the school though?
Who?
Sandusky.
No, in his house.
Was that his house? I thought it was in the locker room.
Everywhere.
Oh, okay.
That was everywhere.
That.
In his house, there were sleepovers, and his wife, who was the grandmother. Okay, what if you're a parent? Would you rather drop your kid off at an old man's house or a couple that's a grandfatherly and grandmotherly couple who are going to take care of your kids? Well, obviously, you're not going to just let your kid with being the old man. Even though he's Penn State associated, I think most people would be feeling uncomfortable. But it was a grandmother mother and grandfatherly figure there, it makes the dynamics a little different.
I feel what you're saying. So like she's like kind of just like the bait to make you feel
She's
comfortable.
kind of, yeah, it's kind of like, well, nothing could happen bad if the wife's there.
Yeah. That Jeff Epstein shit. She was the fucking one, I feel like. Did you see that shit? The Jeff Epstein? With his Maxwell, yeah.
I actually have some major issues with that guy.
Yeah?
That people think that are... I don't think it's as crazy as people think it is.
Really?
I think a lot of it has to do with exploitation, but it had nothing to do with him. He was a sexual predator, no different than Bill Clinton. Sexual predators exist. What he was doing with these... I mean, he was taking girls to islands. Yeah, he was a creep. But he was the blackmailing, the jail. Like, he got away with shit. I don't know how. Well, I don't know how this. He was working for someone.
But they were underage though.
No, they weren't.
The girls weren't underage?
No. They were 17, 18. I mean, I think they were all 18 actually. I'm not going to say this for facts. I'm not going to.
Yeah, I don't know either. I thought they were underage girls. That was the whole point.
But no, my whole issue is that they called every media outsource, and they were just calling him a pedophile. That's it. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's not a pedophile. And it pisses me off because it really changes the dynamic of what the crimes I investigated are. When you're calling someone that just was interested in getting massages and sex from women that are fully developed and look like women compared to a pedophile who's only interested in children under the age of 10 years old.
So what is his crime?
His crime is probably prostitution. Engaging in prostitution. I think they call it, I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch, but they call it human trafficking.
I was going to say trafficking because he was like getting
the girls literally, I think, had an option. I'm not saying I'm not blaming them at all. But being involved with people like that is dangerous. And it's the exploitative manner in which he approached these girls that were poor and like having them working. But like, I don't know how.
Can I pause you for a second? Yeah. Okay. So you're saying he's not guilty
of being a pedophile.
He's not guilty of being a pedophile because the girls were not underage.
No, the girls weren't under the age of 10 years old. That's a pedophile. A pedophile is somebody that's only sexually attracted to children that have no development. They're not. So they see a woman,
so
they don't like
a child.
It's actually the non-development that attracts them. That is the sick part. Okay. That's their I will say that is their sexual orientation. Legal, how messed up as it is, it's what it is. It's from what my experience has shown me. It's their sexual preference.
So if you like girls who are
15
but developed,
herbophile.
You're a herbophile, and that is also a crime. Yes,
because they're not. I mean, depends on which state you're in, but it's a federally, yeah, it has to be 18. And there's a difference. They don't always say, oh, because you're 18, that means you're going to be, like, because you date a 16-year-old. It's people that's not. The cops have so much more shit to worry about than that stuff. Unless there's a good reason for that going after somebody that they don't normally. That's not something they pursue.
I heard even in high school, if you're a senior, you can date a freshman.
Yeah, I went to. That's normal.
Yeah, so like. Which I don't think is normal, by the way.
Well, it was a tradition in Cherry Hills that we all went freshman dance. We all took seniors. It was weird. Everybody did it.
As an 18-year-old, I was not interested in freshman girls.
No, they weren't interested in us either. But we thought it was like it was more like a. I don't know.
It was like a tradition.
It was a tradition. It was just weird. I mean, I didn't think about it, but I just I just don't like I like to make sure that these things are like with Epstein and other things that go in the media that they're so unknowledgeable. They don't really talk about the actual problems with child-related exploitation. It's too disturbing to actually probably put it on the air because it would just, even though it's. I don't know, that shit was pretty disturbing, bro. No, even though it's the actual truth, people don't really. I've noticed from my work, it's like they don't really want to know really the truth because it could be very difficult. People don't want to sometimes be. Acknowledge that because I've had a lot of parents in denial about their child being abused or they were perpetuating it by not believing their child. So if your child ever says anything, you believe them, please. And if you have that, and one thing I always tell parents, because you as a mother, even father, you have an instinct about people, and sometimes it's 10 times greater when it's your child. I think the instincts kick in. If something doesn't feel right, even if it's somebody that you trust, a coach, uncle, please.
Like ask questions.
Please Yeah. If your stomach is like churning, or if you feel like, why is my kid acting weird now after that visit? That's concerning. That some people just like to, they don't want to. They're not being in denial. It's almost like, I feel uncomfortable, but there's probably nothing happening. But
yeah,
I've had people.
It's like denial. It's like uncomfortable denial.
Yeah, it's like they don't want the confirmation, but they do.
Yeah.
They need somebody else to tell them it's true. And I've been that person numerous times.
So tell us about your exit from this kind of work. So when was the final, like when were you like, I'm not doing this anymore, this is it?
I still do it, but I don't actually have to watch the content because I work for the Department of Justice expert. I review grants that are related to like child sexual exploitation, like needs like for tribes or like areas in the, that are really need federal funds, for combating online crimes against children, human trafficking, child sexual exploitation, child sexual tourism, child prostitution, those types of things. There has to be ways to, federally that they are enhanced. So I review grants from every state or tribe that wants to, or university that's seeking funds that will relate to something to protect children in that field. So,
did you choose to go there though because of the
I just was
aggressive nature of your job?
I chose to go where?
Like, so for example, when I said that before, I meant your departure from being the 13-year-old girl who.
Yeah, that departure ended up. I'll just tell you that it got worse. The things I saw got 10 times worse, and did. I worked at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children after I was a special agent in the Child Predator Unit, which is the federally mandated 911 for the internet, anything related to obscenities on the internet. Imagine that, obscene things on the internet. And when it was related to children. So, oh God. It was, I think last year the number of reports my old office received was 35 million, which is just absurd. Because we were getting millions, but not 35. I mean, it's increased dramatically. So our content was people reporting we worked in-house with every federal agency, including the military.
Yeah.
And the USPS, which is U.S. Postal Service.
But I guess what I'm asking is like, what was your final, I'm done with this?
Okay, my final.
You don't have to say what it was, like specifically, but I guess was it a case? It was a specific case that was like, I'm done. Okay. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
No, it just was the fact that there was a guy I was speaking with that I knew was super, super dangerous because he was so creepy, but he did it in a smart way, and I wasn't used to the smart offenders. When there's a difference, trust me, there's like a huge difference in intelligence when it comes to these types of people. Some are just dumb and just will commit crimes and then they just will do it again. But this guy was very sneaky the way he was approaching me, and like he was almost like I could see the manipulation so clearly, and but he was subtle in the same way, and he didn't commit a crime with me. But I found out like I was able to I'm a freak when it comes to like finding people on the internet. Back in at least when it was less, it was when people.
When it was harder to do.
Yeah. So like using a screen name just to get to a person's face, like that's because you don't know what server. It's not an email. It's like just a screen name. Yeah. So using that I found this guy's like working with youth. He was saying really gross things to me in a way that I found to be like he may have experience with this shit, like not like the guys that they were all men. I'm not just gonna lie.
It was like innuendo type things, like
very good way. Like he was a master at it almost compared to the men that I'm used to dealing with. So I knew he was probably more seriously related, and I think he was more of a serious offender due to the nature of his it's called grooming process. His grooming process was pretty long. And he hadn't, but my office was very impatient about cases. They wanted them right away. Yeah. Bam. We need arrests because we need our wall of shame. We had a wall of shame with all these fucking guys' faces on a wall as the wallpaper.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. But he was like, what was I talking about? Okay.
I was asking you about the specific case that made you leave, and you said this guy was head.
Oh yeah. So what I was able to find on him was that he was a youth past minister, and he was like the only male with like all these. I found like his actual missionary website where he's listed just as of like the week before me talking his nasty stuff to me. He's on a camping trip by himself with like 30 kids. I was just like, oh shit. this man is definitely because the fact is, people that do these things are definitely drawn to organizations that involve their interaction and access to children. So I already had a feeling that this man was super dangerous. But the case fell by the wayside because, oh wait, it doesn't matter. We have another, like, it wasn't quick enough. So I had to like kind of like leave it. Like instead of letting the more serious, they were more focused on getting the quick arrest, which were the easy, like the low hanging fruit, the non-intelligent ones, which were the less dangerous in terms of like the potential of how many victims they could have. So it just, that just threw me off. I'm like, we're supposed to be protecting, like if I'm a parent and I knew that my child was at that trip and some law enforcement agency out there knew this guy was chatting with children and sexually enticing them online.
And chose to pursue otherwhere.
And decided not to go after him. I would have been... That was my whole point of being there, was to protect the children, not to protect the agency from, for their media campaigns. And when it's the best time for them to release it, it was about... That was not apparent. That was something they were interested in doing. And I found that to be the main reason for me to leave. Because, wow... Politics are always we know. Politics run everything. Just no matter where you are, it's just... but when you're working in a political agency, it's even 10 times worse. So it's known for politics.
Wow.
So like that was the end of it. But I already had been hired at NECMEC. So like, I decided I was tired of not being able to go after those serious offenders, like that coat that they ended up arresting him later. I found out one of the other agents took over the case, but nothing for the seriousness that it could have been. But so I moved to DC, worked at the National Center and their cyber tip line, 911 for the internet. Did like 600 reports daily of child rape, watching it, reviewing it, flagging it, categorizing it, and we dealt with mostly just under the age of 11. It's like if we got like, I mean, we always sent out reports. We were a clearinghouse, so like it just was something that we consistently. It was like a never-ending cycle. You do 600, and by the end of the day, you have 700 more reports than you started with. So, never-ending battle, never-ending struggle. The amount of things that you could see that are disturbing, like not just the child stuff, but decapitated baby heads in buckets in some foreign country, like just. Like war crime shit like that. Like it's a of course someone wants to report it and we're like the only place to report it.
So outside of the grant work that you do right now, what is your relationship with this kind of subject? Or is the grant work kind of the extent of how much you... So for example, like you're not up watching Dateline NBC. No. Like you're not like...
No, I have no interest in... Yeah. My whole thing was education, providing... Because a part of my job was at NECMEC was to create online resource tools for schools to use for curriculum, like based off their age. Like kindergarten had a separate presentation related to what they would do as a kindergartner on the internet. Yeah. And we knew it. We had seen firsthand every aspect in real time what was going on. Like sextortion was something I came up with. Sextortion was like the first time the case came about was a case I connected with another agent, with another analyst of mine that we brought to the FBI. We're like, here, this is super serious. They're like, nah, we'll wait. Well, they waited. Now they claim it's theirs, the sextortion. They came up with it. It's so freaking annoying.
I know I ain't gonna change the subject. Sorry, I just thought something where somebody did that. Like it was somebody else's idea, and then they were like kind of.
Well, they didn't take. It's like not an idea. It's a crime, but like literally, like they wrote it off in the beginning when it was a thing, and the connection was so disturbing to me that I don't normally just like go through that level of 600 reports. I didn't normally have the chance to like really push something, so. That was that on that case. But it ended up being a huge case of 37 victims, and one guy in Florida did it all. The one that my roommate, my analyst friend that I worked with, figured out. So,
would you ever do like, those things where like those like I don't know what the right word is, but like they're like internet enthusiasts who like they basically solve the crimes themselves?
No.
Would you ever do that?
I would love. My whole thing is I love the DNA aspect of how I don't like when things are unclear. I like very clearness. Like I look back in like the 70s and 80s and 90s. I'm thinking, wow, most of these people in jail probably didn't do it because cops were like literally just like they wanted to just close cases that were happening and like they had no literally scientific way of doing it. And like just thinking about it makes me a little nervous. Because DNA is just like solved. It's just unbelievable. And I'm big into ancestry. Like I've traced my own family roots all the way back to like 1400s.
Yeah, where are you from? Tell me about yourself.
Sicily and Lithuania. My mom is
Lithuania.
Yeah, my mom's 100% Lithuanian. Yeah.
Did you know that prior to Ancestry.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up Lithuanian.
Are you more in touch with your Lithuanian or Italian side?
100% Italian side.
Okay.
And this is like what I am. It's like we own a cheese business. It's like. Does
your mom speak Lithuanian?
No, her parents were from Lithuania, but she's not. They're immigrants. She grew up in Philly too, on 2nd Street.
Okay. Like, so she can probably like understand it, but she doesn't like talk it.
No, she wouldn't understand.
No.
No, Lithuanian's it's like freaking the craziest language. It's like Russian, but another form of Russian that no one else speaks. It's insane. Yeah.
I am dying to be bilingual, bro.
Me too. I can't.
All right, I think our thing is dying. See, he's blinking now.
Yeah, I see that.
I think he's time to go.
All right, let's put it to an end.
Let's do that. Let's
we
might do a part 2 actually.
We could do a part 2 if anyone's interested.
We do part 2s, by the way. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm going to tell you right now, people are going to
I like my piracy business more than anything else.
Oh shit, yeah. Listen, we don't have a producer today, guys. Tay had to be somewhere. He had an engagement. So you'll notice like some things are not all the way intact. Like we didn't decorate. We have a new space. This is our first interview in the space. We did not decorate yet. Danielle was nice enough to come and be interviewed in our blanket space. But we got to go because our equipment is dying and I don't have someone behind the camera to adjust. Did this all solo. So before we go though, you're not big on social media. We usually have our guests tag their social medias. You're not that big on social media.
I mean,
do you have a page to give them to say, hey, I liked your interview, I want to
I'm so boring. Like I don't promote myself. Who promotes themselves? Like really?
Like everyone.
Really?
Yeah. You're a little out of touch in that regard.
I don't need to promote myself.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean,
that is totally fine.
I don't think there's anything about me on my page you'd find that would be interesting, to be honest. My Instagram.
Can I manifest something real quick?
Yeah. You can tag me. It's fine. I just don't. If you want to follow me.
Well, you would have to say it because now they're looking at you. So you would have to say, like, follow me on here or like look at like.
Guys, is it that bad? I don't even know what my Instagram name is. Is it?
No.
Okay, because I think it's my actual.
I don't think
name.
that's bad considering your line of work and where you've come from.
While
you look that up though.
Yeah,
keep looking that up.
Okay, yeah, but it's like gives my birthday and shit.
Listen, if you want me to say it, I'll say it.
All right.
But usually guests plug themselves. You can make your thing private and choose not to accept people if they want to follow you.
I don't.
I want to respect your privacy.
Maybe for part 2, people will be interested.
Okay, we're not going to tag her. Obviously,
Yeah, well,
she's seen a lot on the cyber internet, so I totally understand why you don't want to plug yourself.
You could tag me. It just I don't know how interesting. Just tag me. See what happens.
Okay, can I see your thing again so I can say it out loud?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not judging you only because I know that you've seen cybercrime, so I understand your hesitancy.
Oh no, I don't care. I don't think I'm that interesting.
You are, trust me. You are that interesting, and you're going to be. And I'm going to manifest while we're here. Danielle talked about starting a podcast to do some stuff that I'm not going to talk about yet because I want to let her iron it out. But when that happens, it will be a podcast under This Side Media, and it's going to be fire. Okay, so definitely do that.
Deep dive.
Dana just texted you, by the way. On Instagram, you can follow her at Danielle D6284 on Instagram. All right, that's Danielle D6284 on Instagram. She's not that big on Instagram, so don't give her a second to follow you back. She might take like 3 years to follow you back because she doesn't know where the follow button is.
And there's nothing really fascinating. You'll see a lot of my dogs. Yeah.
Why do you have so many dogs? So many.
So many.
How many do you have?
One. I only have one.
Oh, you said my dogs.
Well, I got my sister's dog. It's like cute, like the one that looks like your dog. Remember we talked about that.
Oh, we did talk about this. That is true. All right, listen, let me wrap up. My camera's probably like, bro, I'm about to die. Until next time, y'all, I am your host. My name is Steven. I go by Ugly Steven on Instagram. Danielle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And talking. I think you're going to be very surprised at your outcome, I think. This is I've never interviewed somebody of your background. So this is the big deal.
Don't,
Yeah. Until next time, y'all, it is This Side of Jersey Podcast. Peace.